It was just a birthday package, but inside was a wallet, a child's drawing, and a note. Please find us. No one else will. He was a single dad, just trying to throw a party. That box changed everything. Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where you're watching from. And don't forget to hit subscribe for more stories like this. Let's begin. I was never big on birthdays, but for my son Danny, I made exceptions. He was turning 6, wild about dinosaurs, balloons, and cheese pizza. We had a cheap banner taped across the kitchen cabinets, some streamers Lauren from next door helped hang, and 6 kids high on sugar crashing into everything we owned. My sister Rachel had promised to mail him something special, something retro, she said, whatever that meant. The box came that afternoon. Brown cardboard, beat-up corners, duct taped like it had survived a storm. The return label said it was from Rachel, but the sender name was R. McCaskill, not her. Weird, but I figured she borrowed a name to throw me off. She did stuff like that. Danny tore through gifts, paper flying everywhere, and when we got to the box, he looked up and said, "It smells funny." Inside was no toy, no game, just a woman's wallet, a folded crayon drawing of a mother and child, and a single note that read, "Please find us. No one else will." I stared at it, my hands frozen. The wallet was old leather, worn and damp around the edges. The drawing looked frantic. A blue stick figure kid with wide eyes and a red X over his mouth. Rachel didn't answer when I called. Voicemail. Lauren, my neighbor, the quiet one who works nights and walks her dog in a hoodie even when it's hot, leaned over my porch railing and said, "You okay?" I held up the note. She blinked, then said, "You know, I used to work mail routing. That box. Wrong origin tag. It didn't come from out of state." And just like that, I had a new problem. A woman, a kid, and maybe a cry for help that got delivered to the wrong party, or maybe to the right one. I didn't sleep much that night. The box sat on my kitchen counter like it was staring me down. I kept checking the wallet, hoping it would suddenly offer answers, a name, a receipt, a hint. But the ID window was empty, no cards inside. Just a torn bus ticket to a town 3 counties over, smudged and half-soaked. Lauren came by the next morning with coffee and her laptop. "I checked the routing barcode," she said, typing fast. "This didn't go through normal channels. It was redirected from a thrift store in Linwood. That's like 80 minutes south." "And Rachel?" I asked. "No pickup logs under her name. I think she bought a second-hand toy, and this got shoved in by mistake." "So this isn't from my sister?" Lauren shook her head. "Jake, someone hid this. This was meant to be found." I looked at the child's drawing again. The house in the background had no windows, just bars. "You think they're still alive?" I asked. Lauren went quiet. That's when I knew she was taking this personally. "I think if you hadn't opened this," she said, "nobody ever would have." So we made a decision. We'd go to Linwood, hit the thrift store, see if they knew where the toy came from. It was supposed to be a quick check, just to ease our conscience. But as we drove, I kept thinking about Danny, my boy, laughing at a TV show back home, completely unaware that somewhere out there, another kid had drawn a picture and hidden it in a box, hoping someone would listen. And by the time we pulled into the cracked parking lot behind the thrift store, I had this awful feeling, like someone had meant for the box to go unopened. And we'd just broken that silence. The thrift store didn't have a name, just a faded sign that read, "Reuse and renew," with half the neon lights busted. Inside smelled like old glue and wet corduroy. A woman in her 60s sat behind the counter, knitting, gray braid, plastic glasses, and a gaze that told me she missed nothing. "We're looking for a toy box," I said. "One that came in with maybe some personal stuff accidentally left inside." Lauren added, "There was a wallet and a drawing. Maybe someone left it by mistake." The woman stopped knitting. "Little wooden box? Rainbow stickers on the lid?" "Yeah, donated 2 weeks ago." My heart thudded. "By who?" She looked us over slowly. "You cops?" "No," I said. "Just trying to help." She nodded like she'd been waiting for that answer. Then she leaned in. Single mom brought it. Late 20s. Real skinny. Wore a hoodie in 90-degree heat. Said it belonged to her kid. Looked like she hadn't slept in days. "Did she give a name?" The woman hesitated. "McCaskill." Said it real quiet. Lauren and I locked eyes. That was the name on the return label. "She pay with a card?" Lauren asked. The woman pulled out a binder. "Cash. No record." "Did she leave in a car?" "No. Just walked off down 8th. With the boy." He was maybe 6. Didn't say a word. She paused, then added. She looked over her shoulder 3 times before she left. That's a woman hiding from something. Back in the car, Lauren said what we were both thinking. She planted the wallet, the drawing. She wanted someone to find it, but she didn't want to be seen. I stared down 8th Street. Empty sidewalks, boarded buildings. Somewhere out there, a woman and her son had disappeared, and the only thing they left behind was a box I wasn't supposed to open. We followed a hunch. Lauren remembered something the thrift store clerk said. She walked down 8th. So we did the same, parked on the corner and started knocking. Most people didn't answer. Some peeked through blinds and ignored us. But one guy, wiry, covered in drywall dust, opened his door halfway and squinted. You looking for the girl with the kid? I leaned in. You saw her? Yeah. 3rd floor of that rat trap, next to the pawn shop. Building's falling apart. She moved in last month. Quiet. Kept to herself. Paid cash. He scratched his beard. Had the kid draw on the mailbox with chalk. Apartment 3B. Cute, if it wasn't so damn sad. We thanked him and walked to the building. It was worse than he described. Water stains on the bricks. Window glass duct taped from the inside. Door hanging off one hinge. Lauren hesitated at the stairs. You okay? I asked. She nodded, but her knuckles were white on the railing. Just. Haven't been back to a place like this since I left my ex. I didn't push. We climbed in silence. Apartment 3B's door had 3 deadbolts, all unlocked. Inside, the place was stripped bare. No furniture. No mattress. Just a cracked plastic bowl in the corner and a crayon drawing still taped to the wall. Same figures. Same kid. This time, the red X was over both mouths. Lauren whispered. She knew she had to leave fast. Then she pointed to something in the corner, a tiny piece of paper half under the heater. I pulled it free. It was a receipt. For a storage unit. Dated last week. The name was faded, but the signature was hers. R. McCaskill. She's still in town, I said. Lauren looked at the drawing again. Then we better find her before someone else does. The storage place sat at the edge of the industrial zone. Rusted fencing, rows of corrugated steel boxes, and an office with a flickering fluorescent light that made everything feel like a warning. The clerk barely looked up from his game show rerun when I showed him the receipt. She's still renting it? I asked. He squinted at the number. Unit 141. Paid in cash. Last week. Haven't seen her since. You family? Something like that. He tossed us a key without another word. Unit 141 was near the back, shadowed by a row of dead trees and a toppled chain-link fence. I could already feel it, that knot in your chest when you know you're one step behind something important. I unlocked the unit. Inside, a thin mattress, a backpack, a few boxes of canned food, a folded blanket, and a child's toy dinosaur. Lauren crouched beside the mattress. She was living in here with the kid. There was one more thing. A spiral notebook taped shut and shoved under the bedding. On the front, in marker, if found, read. I peeled it open carefully. Inside were pages, half drawings, half letters. We're hiding. My name is Mia. My son is Lucas. If something happens to me, he needs to be safe. Please don't let them take him. He's not supposed to exist on paper. Lauren covered her mouth. She's undocumented. I kept flipping. One line was underlined 3 times. If Mr. Barton finds us, we're not safe. He says no one will care if we disappear. I looked up at Lauren. You ever heard that name before? Her face had gone pale. Then she whispered, Jake. I think I know who he is. We sat in the car with the engine off, the notebook between us like it might explode. Lauren stared straight ahead, her hands clenched in her lap. Barton, she said softly. First name's Curtis. Used to run tenant housing over in Ridgeway, until he got shut down for illegal rentals. I blinked. How do you know that? She hesitated. Because I was in one of them. Years ago, before I moved here. I didn't speak. Just waited. He had this system, she continued. Rented to undocumented families. No paperwork. No complaints allowed. If you fell behind even once, he'd start showing up with friends. Men with vans. Threats. No one ever went to the cops. Because we knew what would happen if we did. You think he's still doing it? She nodded slowly. People like that don't stop. They just move towns. We sat in silence. The storm clouds gathering above the old car lot nearby cast everything in a dull gray. She tried to hide the boy, I said finally. Lucas. She said he wasn't supposed to exist on paper, which means Barton probably had leverage. Maybe a fake job, fake lease, something she signed without knowing. Lauren flipped the notebook closed. If he finds her, she's gone. And so is the kid. I looked at her. You sure you want to keep doing this? She met my eyes. I'm the reason I have to. I got out once. She still has a chance. We sat in silence for a beat longer. Then I started the car. Where are we going? She asked. To find Barton. Curtis Barton wasn't hard to find. People like him never are if you ask the right people. A guy at the storage place, lean, covered in tattoos, missing a few teeth, glanced at the notebook Lauren held and muttered, Barton? He owns the white duplex off Sherman and 12th, rents to ghosts. No lease, no questions. Cops don't show up. We drove there just before sunset. The duplex was crooked, like it had shrugged under its own weight. Curtains drawn. 2 satellite dishes pointed at nothing. A porch light flickering like it was trying to warn us away. I parked across the street and waited. Lauren stared at the door like she was memorizing it. You okay? I asked. She nodded. I remember this feeling. Like your stomach knows something before your head does. We waited 20 minutes before the man himself walked out. Short sleeves, gold chain, cheap sunglasses at dusk. He lit a cigarette with a flick of his thumb, then walked to a black SUV parked in the dirt lot beside the building. That's him, Lauren whispered. Same walk, same smirk. He drove off without a glance. We crossed the street. The front door was open just a crack. Music thumped inside, but nobody answered when I knocked. Lauren looked at me. I pushed it open. 2 rooms in, we found something I wasn't ready for. A wall covered in Polaroids. Dozens of women, some with kids. Names scrawled underneath in marker. Dates, rent amounts. And near the bottom, taped crooked, was one photo we both recognized. Mia, hair pulled back, tired, holding Lucas. Lauren whispered. He cataloged them. Like assets. I took the photo, turned it over. On the back was a note. Owes 3 weeks. Spotted at Ridgeway Corner Store. Watch for return. I looked at Lauren. She's still here, I said, and we were officially too deep to back out. The Ridgeway Market was the kind of place where everyone paid in cash, and the receipt tape was always jammed. One dusty building, a faded Western Union sign, and a single security camera that didn't blink. We sat across the street in Lauren's old Corolla, engine off, windows cracked. She's been here, Lauren said, holding the Polaroid of Mia. That note said she came to this store, probably trying to get food, maybe formula. I checked the lot. Empty except for an old woman selling corn out of her trunk and 2 teenagers on bikes. Why would she come back here? I asked. Because it's all she knows, Lauren said. When you're scared, you go where your feet remember, even if your brain tells you to run. We waited. 15 minutes. Then 30. And then, just past 6 p.m., I saw her. Same woman from the photo. Hoodie pulled low, holding a small boy's hand, a cloth grocery bag over her shoulder. Lucas walked slow, like his legs hurt or hadn't eaten in days. Mia, I whispered. Lauren was already out of the car. We crossed the street fast, but careful. I didn't want to spook her, but the moment she saw us, her whole body tensed. She turned, grabbed Lucas's wrist. No, wait, I said, hands raised. We found your note. In the toy box. She froze. We're not with him, Lauren added gently. We're not with Barton. Mia's eyes welled up instantly. She pulled Lucas close like a shield. Then why are you here? I stepped forward slowly. Because someone finally opened the box. That broke something in her. She nodded, just once. Then she whispered, they know where we are. He has people watching. We don't have much time. Behind us, an engine roared to life. I turned just in time to see a black SUV pull into the lot. And every part of me knew it was Barton. The SUV didn't park. It surged forward like it already knew us. Engine growling, headlights flashing across the lot. Lauren grabbed Mia's arm. I scooped up Lucas. And we ran. Through the alley behind Ridgeway Market, past dumpsters and broken glass. My legs burned. My grip tightened around the boy as he clung to me without a sound. Behind us, tires screeched. A door slammed. Split. I shouted. Lauren, take Mia, loop behind the pharmacy. I'll draw them. Lauren didn't hesitate. She yanked Mia toward the back fence, vaulted over like she'd done this before. I ducked down another alley with Lucas tucked under my arm. He was light, scary light. Almost there, buddy, I panted. Just hang on. Another screech. I turned. A man in a black jacket was on foot now, faster than I expected. I cut right, burst through a gap between two buildings, and nearly ran straight into a delivery van. The driver yelled. I didn't stop. Then, blessed sound, a door opened. Lauren's Corolla was there. Lauren at the wheel. Mia in the back seat. Go, go, I shouted, diving in. The tires squealed as we took off. Behind us, the man in the jacket stopped in the road, watching us vanish. I didn't breathe until we were 5 blocks away. Then Mia spoke, voice hoarse. I have something they want. She reached into her hoodie pocket and pulled out a worn USB stick. This has records, names, payouts, every tenant they blackmailed. I took it before I left. I was going to mail it. I stared at her. You mailed it, I said. To my sister. Mia blinked. Lauren turned slowly. Jake, that box was never meant for us. I nodded. But somehow we were the only ones who listened. We didn't go home. Not to mine. Not to Lauren's. We drove straight to a friend of Lauren's, a former postal investigator who owed her a favor. Real name, Travis Cho. Quiet, sharp, and the kind of guy who still ran Linux on a 20-year-old laptop. Travis listened as Mia laid it all out. The storage unit. The threats. The tenants who vanished. Barton's network. Then she handed over the USB. He scanned the files for 3 minutes, then just said, Yeah, this is bad. How bad? I asked. Travis looked up. This isn't just Barton. This is a whole chain of slumlords. Real estate laundering, bribes to city officials. Fake evictions. They've been bleeding families dry for years. Lauren clenched her jaw. Can you get it out? He smirked. Not only that, I can make it loud. By dawn, Travis had sent copies of the files to 4 investigative journalists, 1 housing advocacy group, and, thanks to Lauren's contact from her sorting days, the Postal Inspector General's office. That USB? It detonated louder than any of us expected. 3 days later, Barton was arrested outside a pawn shop, mid-transaction. 8 others followed. News vans circled the duplex. Mia's photo ended up on the evening news. Only this time, she was smiling. And me? I sat in my kitchen with Danny, eating cold pizza while he showed off a dinosaur he got from Lauren. You got another box today, Dad, he said, pointing to the table. Sure enough, a small package. No return address. Inside was a folded note in careful handwriting. Thank you for opening what no one else would. Mia and Lucas. And beneath it, taped to the bottom of the box, was a crayon drawing. This time, no red X. Just 2 smiling stick figures, and a third one holding their hands. Me. Lauren walked in, saw the box, and smiled. She didn't say anything, just sat beside me, shoulder to shoulder. And I realized something. Kindness isn't always loud. Sometimes it comes in a cardboard box at the end of a long day, and it asks just one question. Will you open this, even if it's not yours? I did. And somehow, that changed everything. You made it to the end. Thank you. If this story left a mark, click like, drop a comment, and make sure you're subscribed. There's more where this came from.